Still kind of can't believe that we're here in the month of July already. Not just in terms of the calendar year and also the baseball season, but also this month of July. It could prove to be huge and pivotal for the Oakland A's as a franchise, trying to stay in Oakland and trying to build a brand new ballpark at Howard Terminal. Oakland City Council hopefully will be voting on that by July 20th. We'll see what happens with the County of Alameda shortly after, and a potential vote by them too. But I digress into 4 things I've realized lately. These are not things that were on my mind even 4 weeks ago, definitely not 4 months ago, but as this process continues to evolve, we figure things out just a little bit better. I wanted to share these 4 things about where my mind is at. It's a mixture of hope and worry. This is a difficult project. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of people involved. And so I want to try and sum it up into, again, a lot of thought, a lot of conversation I've had surrounding this, and now 4 thoughts that are coming from it. Beginning with number 1, the temperature right now on all of this is clearly hot, right? I mean, you've got back and forth between the Oakland A's, the city council, what they've said so far, what they're about to say in a couple upcoming meetings, what the County of Alameda said during a almost 7-hour meeting alone on this very topic, what people opposing the Howard Terminal Ballpark have been saying, Las Vegas as an option from Major League Baseball. There's a lot going on right now. And to the average fan, it clearly is a bit concerning. You're hearing about a team potentially moving. That's out there. The difficulty of this project, that's also out there. How much it costs is a bit intimidating. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying, like, you hear all these things, and it's enough to have somebody a little bit nervous about the future because they just don't have, obviously, the grip on it that everybody else does. But that hot temperature is what's necessary to get things like this done. Because I truly feel like when you're trying to push a project, and this is kind of already my second point, so I don't want to cover it too much, but when you're pushing a project, there's either 2 ways this could go. You could have the decision makers take the easy route, which is to maybe just kind of keep washing your hands of it and push it off to the side and just keep delaying the inevitable, right? Just find any reason to not actually address this. But then there's the right thing to do, which is fully consider it at the benefit of your city and your county and the people you represent and your taxpayers and the money that it could bring in and jobs. And like, you owe it to everybody to highly, highly consider this. So my point is that to get to that point, to push people to consider this, the temperature has to be hot. If the temperature is low, then the easy road, that whole, hey, I'll just deal with this next year, then that is more of an option, which it does not seem like it's an option right now. So that is thought number 1. I realize the temperature for all of this and all of us, it can be a little bit uncomfortable at times. But anything good that happens to you in life usually comes with effort. It doesn't just get handed to you. And I really feel like that's what this situation is all about. All of the parties of interest here, everybody who's got, some leverage one way or the other, like, this is the moment where the back and forth is really going to happen. And hopefully we're going to find out what the Oakland City Council thinks of all this pretty soon. That's number 1. Number 2 is that you've heard the saying, it takes 2 to tango. Well, that is true here, but it's actually kind of like it takes 3 to tango. The Oakland A's, who are obviously inviting everybody to the dance, and then you have the city of Oakland and the county of Alameda. Now, I understand, the A's have been trying several different projects in several different places over the years, and that's been brought up of, how do they compare to what's going on right now? Let me just say this. Clearly, this is leaps and bounds beyond anywhere this is so, they're in realistically here, they are so close, only a couple steps away, big steps, but a couple steps away from getting this all squared away. They've never been this close to anything before. But let's just take this assumption. Let's say the Oakland A's are pitching something perfect here. They've dotted all their I's and crossed all their T's. I almost said that wrong. I don't know why I use that phrase when I'm not sure I can nail it every time. But let's just say everything in their term sheet and their presentation was money. Money. Come on, dummy. Let's say it was nails, right? Everything was like hard to say no to, like impossible to say no to. You realize that you're still going to need other parties of the city and county to go in on this, to be interested in this, to be competent enough in this, to have the willingness to vote on this, to vote the right way on this. It's obviously being brought up by the team because they want to, but more importantly, they have to get this done to exist for another 50 plus years, or hopefully a lot longer in the city of Oakland. But you need to have other parties here involved that are also like with it enough and responsible enough to get things going. And I've got to say, like, I'm not an expert on government. I've only seen what I've seen. I was highly encouraged by the Alameda County Board of Supervisors meeting back on June 15th. Like, going into the start of that meeting, it did not paint a pretty picture. They were literally saying, why are we here addressing sports? We don't want to be involved in sports. We'd rather not even talk about this. And I kid you not, about 6 hours later, they literally almost took a vote on this. And the only reason they didn't was just to put it off and say, hey, we want to have our financial analysts go, check all the numbers here, make sure they're seeing what we're seeing, what we like. And I think they're also interested to see what the city's vote and how their reaction goes. But quite honestly, it went from sketchy to I'm very optimistic about how they feel regarding this project. But we haven't really heard that from the city of Oakland yet. We don't know what they're going to pitch, if they're just going to say yes to the term sheet, if they have, as you've heard, maybe a slightly different version that they'd like to see come across. I don't know how the A's are going to feel about back and forth negotiation. At least we're talking here. At least we're getting, and they have been talking, but I mean, now publicly they're going to be showing each other their cards. But again, it's this whole point just to say that the A's can throw a perfect pitch, and they're still going to need other good players in the game to play ball. I just made that up, and I'm not sure if I like it, but I went with it. All right. Number 3 here out of 4 points is that ultimately when the city votes on this, because I heard kind of the way the county's thought process went, there has to be a differentiation here of understanding the deal that the A's want to make and what the city and what the county are each going to get out of this, like the good deals they're going to get out of this, and to also simultaneously understand at the same time, like that ballpark right there and the funds it's going to create and all the great things it's going to do, it's not going to fix everything in the city and in the county, right? Because now you're going to have elected officials saying, well, we need more money for this, and this. Can the ballpark do all of that? Well, I mean, look, if the ballpark can do a third of what you want, why would you say no to that? And it kind of leads to my final point here of, is somebody else pitching you a better idea right now? Like, are you saying no to something and a lot of things that are free and very good because you're holding out for what? Something else you think's coming along? Or you're scared about what happened with the Raiders, how they were in and out, and how the Warriors just were like, see ya. I really feel like there is a difference between really good and perfect. And for some elected officials, like, this might be perfect, like, or close to it. For others, I know there are people out there who are always looking for a bargain, who are looking for a steal, who are looking for a deal, right? And so when they're negotiating with the A's, what I'm saying is they have to understand, like, this is really good. How much more can you squeeze out of this orange? At some point, like, the deal is going to be pretty good, and that's it. You got to decide on that. I just think it's not realistic to have the ambition that this project is going to fund like the rest of your city. Like it's going to, I mean, the A's have already said how much it's going to contribute to the general fund, the infrastructure improvements that they're fronting the money for alone. Like all of these are great things. And whether it's education, low-income housing, mental health, funding police and fire resources, schools in Oakland. Like I said, there's so much that this has the ability to do. Let's just make it clear. Like, it's not going to create world peace as well. Okay. So I know I'm exaggerating there, but I hope that point is made. And then number 4, it's this point. We're talking about the Oakland waterfront. We're talking about Howard Terminal, a location that is not used right now for ships. It's a glorified parking lot. Everybody knows that. This is not new information. This is not new material. But who else right now is trying to get in that neighborhood and do something super positive for the city and the county? Like, because Google just bought a ton of land in downtown San Jose. And it sounded like there may have been other interested parties, or that they just came in so strong and were like, hey, we got it. We'll take it. We'll accommodate. There was some back and forth, and eventually they all got it done. But I respectfully say that I don't know with the city of Oakland right now, like, and this neighborhood north of Jack London Square, is there something else I'm missing? Is there somebody else who's going to float you a better offer today, tomorrow, in the next 50 years? Because, and this has been said before, I fully agree with it, if this doesn't happen at this site, I don't think anybody's going to touch it for another 4 decades. And I don't know what good that does besides being a parking lot. And all the dilapidated streets and improper train crossings and like things around the neighborhood. I've been there. I understand it. I've walked this site. I know exactly what's here. And I'm telling you, the improvements of infrastructure alone around this, like beyond building a stadium, $1 billion stadium, the infrastructure that the A's are fronting the money for of $855 million, like, how could you say, who else is going to come in and offer to front that money to you? So again, it's a lot of different things here, the back and forth, and we'll see what happens in this month of July with the Oakland City Council. I truly hope they see all the benefits in this. I don't mind if they want to, counter something, but counter something reasonable or come up with something creative. The whole infrastructure financing district by the A's, the 2 different zones, it's so creative. Like it solves the problem of how to pay for a large amount of this without anybody being affected by it, without anybody existing being affected by it, without taxpayers being affected by it. So all I'm saying is if you want to counter what the A's have put out there, I hope it comes with as much thought and creativity as what the A's have initially presented. So that's it. Those are my 4 thoughts about Howard Terminal and the Oakland A's. And man, I'll close out this video like I've been saying a lot lately. I sure hope I watch this someday here on YouTube, 20 years from now. Say, remember back then when I recorded that? If I only knew what was about to happen in the next couple years in a very good way, I would have been, completely surprised and excited. So hopefully that's the case.